And we are live. It is 12:43 a.m. in the morning. It is early Saturday morning. Hello, Melissa. How are you? Good to see you. Hello, Miranda Lee. Again, let's see. What are we doing? We're going to be going over this week's events, and I want to bring up the timeline to the Connecticut River Valley guy. All right, so I'll play my intro, then I'll be right back. Good to see you guys. Hope you guys are having a good weekend so far. It's early. What am I doing? All right, I'll play my intro and I'll be right back. I gotta fix that. Anyways, hope everybody's doing good. It's early Saturday morning, 12:46. Outside again, but it's absolutely freaking freezing out here. I mean, I'm not going to be happy until it's like 70 at night, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. Hope Miranda Lee's doing well. Hope Melissa's doing well. I hope everybody's doing well. Having a good weekend so far. And let's go. Let's do this. So I want to go. It's been a good week because this happened. I want to go here. Hold on a second. Let's do this one first. This is the journey house for 1 second. Let me share this. This is cancel this. This is the sentencing of this douchebag. And it's been a long time coming, but finally he got exactly what he deserved here. We'll see if they follow through with it. But this is the sentencing of Chad Daybell. So this, I think this happened yesterday, 9 hours ago. So here we go. This is the actual sentencing, and I love to see this shit because, you know, finally.
Special verdict. The court would note that pursuant to Idaho Code 4004, which is the punishment for murder statute in Idaho, that crime in murder of the first degree can be.
I'm pretty sure everybody knows about this case, but they really put it to this guy here today, or yesterday.
Punished by death, and under Idaho Code 192515 subsection 7A, that states that.
I don't like the smoke on camera, so let me get rid of my face. That's better. Okay.
If the jury finds that a statutory aggravating circumstance exists.
Yeah, this guy is the worst of the worst. Thankfully, he got everything that was coming to him. It took a long time, but they got him. So.
And no mitigating circumstances exist which would make the imposition of the death penalty unjust, the defendant will be sentenced to death by the court. The court's reviewed the findings of the jurors in the special verdict form. They've taken their time through these deliberations to return that verdict. And so the court will proceed with sentencing first.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are in denial in this case. But they got this guy, so.
On counts 1 through 6. And again, this is an unusual hearing because the sentencing hearing's already been taking place.
I do want to go over that tonight too, because there was a pretty good interview at CrimeCon with BTK's daughter that I want to play too. But let's get over this first here.
Heard from the victims through impact statements and arguments from counsel. That's already taken place. In addition, a pre-sentence investigation report is not to be ordered in these hearings, so the court does not reference that. The court then orders as follows, and this will be contained in the court's judgment. At the conclusion of the case, as to count 1,
if you're tired, go ahead. I feel bad that you're going to be falling asleep. That's terrible. But sleep is important.
Conspiracy to commit first-degree murder and grand theft by deception for the murder of Tylee Ryan. Upon the jury's finding of guilty and return of the special verdict form, the jury finding beyond a reasonable doubt and having returned the special verdict that the aggravating circumstances when weighed against the mitigating circumstances do not make the imposition of.
Hope everything is well with your dad, Miranda.
The death penalty unjust. The court, therefore, on count 1, the defendant is sentenced to death. On count 2, the first-degree murder of Tylee.
I could keep replaying that last sentence over and over and over and over again.
Ryan, the jury finding beyond a reasonable doubt and having returned the special verdict that the aggravating circumstances when weighed against the mitigating circumstances do not make the imposition of the death penalty unjust. The court, therefore, on count 2, sentences the defendant to death. On count 3, the conspiracy to commit first-degree murder and grand theft by deception for the murder of.
I mean, this is, I guess, I don't know. It's, I'm a human being. I guess I don't like to see anybody die, I guess. But people like this, man, deserve it, in my opinion.
Vallow, the jury finding beyond a reasonable doubt and having returned the.
I mean, he's such a horrible human being. It's just, people don't need guys like this on the streets.
Special verdict that the aggravating circumstances when weighed against the mitigating circumstances do not make the imposition of the death penalty unjust. The court, therefore, on count 3, sentences the defendant to death.
Hello, Honeybee. How are you? Good to see you. It's always good to see Honeybee in here. Don't forget to post your channel in here, Honeybee.
On count 4, first-degree murder of J.J. Vallow, the jury finding beyond a reasonable doubt and having returned the special verdict that the aggravating circumstances when weighed against the mitigating circumstances do not make the imposition of the death penalty unjust. The court, therefore, on count 4, sentences the defendant to death. On count 5,
I guess the problem I have with the DP is, you know, this could take forever. You know what I mean? It's not like once they get the DP, it's over. It takes forever. Um, whether or not he actually gets the DP, but at least they found him guilty of it. So.
conspiracy to commit first-degree murder of Tammy Daybell. The jury, having found beyond a reasonable doubt and having returned the special verdict that the aggravating circumstances when weighed against the mitigating circumstances do not make the imposition of the death penalty unjust, the court therefore, on count 5, sentences the defendant to death. On count 6, the first-degree murder charge, the murder of Tammy Daybell.
Oh, I gotta see that. Hey, Dean Johnson, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you, man. Yeah, I gotta watch that. I'm sure it's awesome.
The jury, having found beyond a reasonable doubt and returned the special
Honeybee does phenomenal work, literally.
Verdict that the aggravating circumstances when weighed against the mitigating circumstances do not make the imposition of the death penalty unjust. The court therefore, on count 6, sentences the defendant to death. The court's next going to take up counts 7 and 9 on the insurance fraud counts. Before I do that, from the state, are there any questions regarding?
This guy is just so emotionless. Like it's like nobody knows what's going on inside this being of his here, but he's just an ass.
Regarding the court's judgment as it relates to counts 1 through 6.
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Questions from the defense?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, moving on to insurance fraud.
I will never, ever, ever get Harmony Montgomery out of my mind. Like that is just such a horrible, horrible case. Maybe it's because it's local. You know what I mean? It's it was done here in this state. But one of these days, I hope they find her. I mean, that's all you can really hope for, I guess. I don't know, but that poor little girl is just absolutely. It'll never be one of those things that leaves my mind.
Then the court will note that I am required to go through a sentencing proceeding on this. These are separate counts that have not been determined in the special.
I honestly don't think he cares. I think that he thinks he's above everybody else, obviously, and that's why these crimes were committed. He played God here.
Verdict formed by the jurors. Some brief procedural history. Mr. Daybell was charged by amended indictment with counts 7 and 9.
I mean, when you're in this whole true crime thing here, I guess you're not really supposed to get emotional and stuff like that. But fuck it. I can get emotional because I'm a human being. And when I see kids like that get treated like that, it's just, you get emotional. You get, he got what he deserved too.
Insurance fraud under Idaho Code 41293, which is a felony. Mr. Daybell pled not guilty to those counts on June 9th, 2021. Thereafter, this trial was held, and as part of the findings of the jury in their verdict, they did find the defendant guilty of both of those counts. The court has considered, in lieu of a pre-sentence investigation report, the information that I've heard throughout this trial. I also heard information regarding these charges in the previous trial held last year against co-defendant Lori Vallow. I've also heard information received during the special sentencing proceeding relating to those counts as well, and have considered that information in lieu of a pre-sentence investigation report. And I'll also note the defendant waived the pre-sentence investigation report and is permitted to do that, and the court can allow that under Criminal Rule 32A. At this time then, before I move forward with the sentencing on counts 7 and 9, I will inquire of the state, is the state wishing to make any sentencing recommendation as it relates to count 7 or 9?
And Your Honor, just for clarification, were the insurance frauds counted?
You know, again, that's the problem I have with EP because they never actually go through with it. It takes forever for one. There's always an appeal. There'll be probably an appeal with this here. It just, you know, if they're gonna do it, you might as well do it, right? There's always an excuse. They get stays. They get. It's just. And it's not going to bring the people back. It's not the thing. It's just this guy deserves the worst punishment possible. So
Count 8 and 9?
As listed in the amended indictment, they are listed as counts 7 and count 9.
Thank you. Co-counsel just clarified for me on that. Your Honor, the state is prepared to make a statement. First, I would indicate for the record that in relation to the sentencing hearing, the sentencing portion handled yesterday, the state did make our best attempts to reach out to all statutory victims to allow them the opportunity to be heard by the court. And those that the court heard from yesterday were the ones that had wished to make impact statements. While not directly related to the insurance fraud, I did just want to make a clear record of that. In relation to the insurance fraud charges, in light of the sentence that has
I haven't seen this whole thing yet either. So I just heard the sentencing, not the whole thing.
been imposed by this court and by the recommendation of the jury in relation to the other charges, the state would indicate we think that the victim statements covered everything the state could say. While the insurance charges again are attenuated to it, we've lost 3 individuals that the state can do nothing to bring them back. And so the best we can do is move forward in seeking justice on their behalves. In relation to the insurance counts themselves, given the sentences, we would recommend this court
Hey, buddy, it's Arctic True Fox True Crime. Hey, buddy, how's it going? Good to see you.
impose jail time and have that, or prison time, excuse me, impose a sentence and run it concurrent with the imposition of the other sentence by this court. I believe they carry up to 15 years in prison. We'd recommend they run concurrent with each other. And
How can this happen? Right? You look at this stenographer here. This is an art because I wouldn't be able to do this at all. My fingers don't move that fast. And she's got to take down all of these words that these people are saying. It's just, that's a talent, and it's pretty good.
and with the imposition of death in this case, we would also recommend restitution in the amount of $130,000 to Life Map and $300,000 to Primerica. As part of that, we would also recommend a waiver of any fines or court costs in this matter in order to allow
This guy is such a piece of dog shit. Look at him. He's not one facial feature from him whatsoever.
restitution to be paid if any money is available to go towards that.
All right, thank you for the state's sentencing recommendations. Mr. Pryor, does the defense wish to make sentencing recommendations?
Hey, Heather Brown, how are you? Good to see Heather in here. Hope everybody's well. Yeah, Barney Miller typing for me anyways. That's why it takes so long for me between, cases that I go through because I got typed in the freaking words. It's tough.
As to, I'll do them collectively, counts 7 and 9, the insurance fraud counts.
No, Judge, there's nothing further. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, is there any objection to the requested restitution amounts of 130,000 and 300,000?
Judge, we may need to set that out at this point, but I'll let the court know if that changes.
All right, I'll permit 30 days for the scheduling of a contested hearing on restitution. If that becomes an issue, we could conduct that hearing most likely remotely on a Zoom hearing if it becomes an issue. At this time, I will ask because I need to on these counts before I impose any sentence. Mr. Daybell, you do have the right of allocution, which permits you to make a statement on your own behalf in any mitigation of these offenses. Is there any statement you would like to make before I proceed with sentencing on those counts?
Yeah, I'm going to try to start doing more lives. It's tough, but I got to get better at this shit. So I may start doing, 2 a week. We miss everybody all the time. I mean, that's what we do. Good to see everybody in here, though. Thank you.
No.
Very well. The court then, having considered the information previously referenced, finds that pursuant to Idaho Code 41293, which under subsection 4 indicates a penalty of up to 15 years of prison on each of those two counts, the court
These guys here, the prosecution in this case, did an excellent freaking job, man.
is going to impose a prison sentence of 15 years. So a 15-year sentence
Thank you, Dean. Appreciate that. I say that I'm going to do more now, but if that actually happens, that'll be a miracle, literally.
will be imposed on count 7. The court will take under advisement the issue of restitution requested by the state. The court will not impose any fines. The court also will impose a 15-year prison sentence on count 9. Also
How can I possibly get tired of Heather Brown, right? I mean, that's just not going to happen.
pursuant to the same statute, take under advisement the issue of restitution. The court will note in imposing these prison sentences that I have
No, it's not going to happen.
reviewed Idaho Code 192521, which requires me to go through certain criteria about the imposition of a prison sentence versus a possibility of parole or a lesser sentence. And I would note that the rationale for the prison sentences is that these are intertwined with the murder charges for which the death penalty has been imposed on those counts. And when the court looks at the sentencing factors under 1925-21, I would note in mitigation that Mr. Daybell has been incarcerated an extensively long time in local jail and has a previous law-abiding history, and I have considered that. I've also considered that he's always conducted himself respectfully, from what I've heard from all of the jailers that have ever.
Hello, Miss Persevere. How are you? I think you're the only one that doesn't have a wrench yet. I'll try to fix that. Because like I said, if anybody's got a channel, I know Art Fox True Crime has got a channel, Honeybee's got a channel. Anybody who's got a channel, feel free to post it in the chat. The more creators, the better.
Interacted with him over the years that he's been incarcerated for these charges. However, the court finds under Idaho Code 2521 also that any lesser sentence would depreciate the seriousness of these offenses because this life insurance was obtained based on the murders of individuals and procuring life insurance payouts
Should be only fan. Just kidding, buddy. Honeybee is awesome. Honeybee's great.
unlawfully. And because of that, it's the most serious offense, that circumstance that could lead to that. In addition, imprisonment will provide an appropriate punishment and deterrent for the defendant and others, and will also be a deterrent for the community as well. So the court having then concluded with the sentencing on that, I will not order any fines because the defendant's previously been deemed indigent and has received the death penalty on these murder counts, and find it would be futile to have an order of fines in the case. So with those remarks, then the court typically would address the defendant further, but in this special sentencing proceeding, the victim impact statements and the evidence has already demonstrated on the record, I think, the seriousness of what's occurred. And I don't find any reason to further delve into the court's rationale other than what was listed in the statute. So unless there's anything further, that will conclude the sentencing, but I will address the post-conviction issues that need to be addressed at this time. Does the state have anything further then on the sentence and count 7 and count 9?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Anything further from the defense?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Daybell, in this
Oop.
case, given the sentence that was imposed in counts 1 through 6, there's a special appellate and post-conviction procedure for capital cases, and an automatic stay may be in effect. There's a statute that's Idaho Code 192719.
See, there's so many ways I can weasel out of this. It just sucks.
That sets out certain deadlines. I am providing you and council with a courtesy copy of that statute. But I will note a few of the deadlines that are listed in there. Under subsection 1, when the punishment of death is imposed, the time for filing an appeal shall begin to run when the death warrant is filed. Number 2, the death warrant shall not be filed until 42 days after the judgment imposing the death sentence has been filed. Number 3, within 42 days of the filing of the judgment imposing the punishment of death, the defendant must file any legal or factual challenges to the sentence of conviction. There's other important and critical deadlines that are contained within that statute, and I am going to provide a copy of that to Mr. Pryor to ensure that the defense is well advised of those post-conviction rights that would apply in this special proceeding. I'll also note that there's an additional rule, Idaho criminal rule. If you'll give me a moment, I think it's 44.2.
All right, so that's that. What these guys did, this guy here and his buddy Lori Vallow, it's just, you can't make this shit up. These people are just horrible people, and they, like I said, they're getting everything they deserve, which is, yeah, I know. I have a feeling this guy's going to get this, reduced to a life for parole, life without parole type thing. I'm hoping not, but that's just the way it is. Very few people get the death penalty these days. It's not even, it's almost wonder why they even have it. All right, so I do want to do this first, and then I want to go back to some other stuff. But I was covering this last week. And WMUR here did a nice job for me in creating a timeline for this Connecticut River Valley guy, serial killer here. So this is the timeline between the 1970s, late 1970s, and I want to say mid 80s. So this is the timeline. This is where all these unalivings took place. And again, it's all right in this vicinity here, Connecticut River Valley. The only one that's kind of out of the way is Swansea, but that's still, part of the whole route system here. This is the composite sketch that Jane Borowski created. But here's the, this is just saying about the latest evidence search in last week, I think it was. But this is the timeline. I'll probably put this in the description at some point, but this is the first unaliving, October 24th, 1978, Catherine Milliken. And then June 25th, Mary Elizabeth Critchley, 37 of Waterbury. And they have the pictures here of these victims here. Mary Elizabeth Critchley here, 37. 1981, there was 1, 2 in 1981, I think. And I pass by this road all the time. This is basically right around the corner for me. May 30th, 1984, Bernice Quartermatch. And hopefully there's some movement going on in this case because they were just up there in Kellyville last week. I think they're trying to get some DNA off of a rug. July 22nd, 1984, Ellen Ruth Freed. And I'd like to get some more stuff on this, but there's just nothing. So these are all the victims. The only person in here that's not unalived is this wonderful lady here, Jane Borowski. She's the only survivor of this, and she's the one that provided the description of the guy here, who's got to be well into his 70s if he's still alive. He was driving one of those Jeep Wagoneers, golden brown, which was a very, very expensive vehicle at the time. So I don't think this guy's a janitor. She described him as white, between 32 and 40 years old, weighing 150, 160 pounds. She said he had blonde hair. And she got a really good look at him because he was attacking her. So, all right. So that's that. If there's any more stuff on that, I'll get to that at some point. But right now it's, yes, Mara Murray. That's one of the reasons how I got into that. Yeah, it's same features. I think this guy here for the Connecticut River Valley, though, was connected to some of the hospitals in the area. I think he moved. I think the reason why he stopped is because she got a really good look at him. And but anyways, I want to go into this here. What are we doing now? We're gonna go into this douchebag here. Hold on a second. All right, let's stream this. This is going to Brian Kohlberg is trying to get out of it here. So this guy's trying to get some of this phone
evidence that he was there. If
evidence at least looked at again. So this was done. When was this done? This was done 6 hours ago, but this was done a lot. I think this was done this week here.
Is it common or uncommon to have two warrants, one that relies on the content of the first and that's the same day?
It's not uncommon to see a small time period that produces results that would increase the desire, the need for a bigger time period of records. Seeing that entire process happen.
My opinion on Mara Murray is I think that she contacted somebody while she was driving up to where she was going, and I can't be 100% sure of that. And she might have received foul play after the accident of some kind.
Twice in the same day is extremely rare.
that was Cy Ray, a geolocation analyst who testified in today's hearing for the case against Brian Kohlberger. Kohlberger is charged with the murders of 4 university.
Because I haven't gotten a straight answer. I've been up there, and right down the road from where she got into that accident, there was I want to say a resort of some sort, and I wonder if she used a payphone there. But I haven't got a straight answer from the owners now that own the place up there, whether there was payphones outside the business or not. So, but back in 2004, payphones were still operational. One thing about payphones is you could always call collect. And from her sister's account, they found a phone number on a piece of paper on the passenger seat inside of her car. So,
University of Idaho students, they were found stabbed to death in their off-campus home in November of 2022. Their names are Xana Kernodle, Ethan Chapin, Kaylee Gonzalez, and Madison Mogan. Now, Ray delivered testimony about gaps in the data surrounding Kohlberger's movements the night of the murders. If you recall, Kohlberger submitted an
yeah, if it wasn't that, it was the bus driver.
alibi, claiming he was out driving the night of the stabbings. He maintains that he was enjoying stargazing on a long drive late at night when he was unable to sleep. Court TV anchor.
And I'm not 100% sure she was driving east either. Because, like I said, I've been up there. And how she crashed her car, where the damage was on the driver's side, going around that corner, I find it hard to believe that she hit that tree like that. I think she was traveling west. That's just my opinion.
Vinnie Paulton has more for us on Brian Kohlberger's official alibi.
The alibi for the
This guy is so guilty. Just
Accused Idaho student's killer is that while 4 college students were murdered in the early morning hours, he was out for an innocent joyride. Defense attorneys call their client an avid runner and hiker.
I will say that I drive a lot at night. Especially when my kids were young. I used to put them in the car that way to get them to sleep, you know. But I don't think this guy was just out driving around.
Claiming he often took drives in the countryside late at night and in the early morning hours to enjoy the moon and stars. The accused killer's filing says that once school started, his hiking decreased and his drives increased. His attorneys plan to present cell phone data and photos of the night sky that show he was in the countryside on several occasions. The defense says their client's cell phone was south of Pullman, Washington, and west of Moscow, Idaho on November 13th, 2022. So they say the car captured on video along the Moscow-Pullman highway near Floyd's cannabis shop could not be his. Floyd's cannabis shop is off State Route 270, the main route into Moscow from Pullman, Washington.
So this, hold on a second. Let me play this again. So there's the campus there. I've been over this freaking route so many times that I always try to stop it to see if I can find something else. But what the hell this guy here was going from here over into this area for is probably going to convict him, in my opinion. What are you doing all the way over here? His best defense would have been I was just buying drugs over here or something, but he didn't say that.
Into Moscow from Pullman, Washington. His alibi does not confirm or deny that other surveillance videos of the white Elantra in Moscow is him. Here's the state's timeline of the accused killer's movements, outlined in their probable cause affidavit. Prosecutors say his phone pings in Pullman, Washington at 2:42 a.m.
Yeah, he is like his face is just creepy as fuck. I agree with that. Like he just looks guilty. He's such a showboater too. He's enjoying all of it. Oh, God.
At his Washington State University campus apartment. His phone is on the move at 2:44 a.m. A few minutes later, his cell phone.
I mean, I guess everybody's innocent until proven guilty, but he is creepy. I agree with Melissa 100%. He's just creepy.
Stops pinging. Investigators say that could be because the accused killer turned it off. And for the next 2 hours, investigators track his alleged movements using only.
I don't even know how to turn my phone off. Like, you know, you go to these places, like if you go to a movie or something, they tell you to turn off your phone or plane or something like that, or a courthouse. I don't even know how to fucking. If I had to turn my phone off, I'd just leave it somewhere because I don't even know how to do that.
Surveillance video of what they say is his white Elantra. The state alleges that the accused killer drove from the WSU campus to Moscow.
He does. He just looks like Bert from Sesame Street. He just got that dumb face. He looks so guilty. It's not even funny.
By way of State Route 270, a claim they support with surveillance of a white Elantra seen heading in the direction of the highway at 2:53 a.m.
Unfortunately, for people my age, power off is not that easy. I don't even know.
And a photo of the same car near Floyd's cannabis shop further down the highway. The accused killer claims that it was not him. Cameras caught a white Elantra traveling through Moscow, first on streets near the crime scene, then on the victim's street from 3:39 a.m. to 4:20 a.m. Police say the accused killer turned his phone back on at about 4:48 a.m. near Blaine, Idaho, a rural community in the countryside about 10 to 15 minutes south of Moscow. According to the prosecution, from 4:50 a.m. to 5:26 a.m., his phone travels south towards
The only way I know how to turn my phone off is to, like, I'm really good at that.
Genesee, Idaho, going west toward Uniontown, Washington, a route that could lead toward Hawaii Park. The accused killer claims that park was his favorite place and that in the early morning hours of November 13th, he drove there. His alibi does not say when he got home, but
He's just really, like, this is a typical SKer right here. He has no, like, you get this cop next to him and this other guy next to him. They're showing some sort of a face of, like, emotions. This guy is just stone cold. Look at him. He's just, he's not there. He's just not.
the state says at 5:30 a.m., his cell phone uses service in Pullman, Washington. According to prosecutors, that's when he got home, not after an innocent drive, but after committing a quadruple murder.
And as we look ahead to one of the most highly anticipated murder trials, the trial date.
I think this guy is smart in some ways and not smart in other ways. Like, he probably planned doing this for so long that he got it down to almost like a science. Why he didn't get any blood on him, but that's just my opinion. He probably planned this out so intricately that he knew exactly how not to get any, blood on him.
Set to begin in this case in early March of next year, March 3rd, 2025. For now, let's bring back in our think tank to talk about this case. We've been talking about it for months, turning into years now. Still with us, Eklund Mercy, Kirk Nurmi, and Nima Ramani. Nima, this alibi, if the Floyd's cannabis shop evidence that he was there, if that can be definitively debunked, does that equal reasonable doubt in this case?
I don't think so. There's plenty of evidence here. There's the single source DNA at the scene. There's apparently DMs with the victims that may show some sort of stalking, him actually showing up at their place of business. And even if the phone was turned off or an airplane mode and didn't hit the cell sites the night of the murder, it was there the very next day and plenty of times before the murder. So I think there's enough. We have a fuzzy eyewitness account as well. And look, these types of pretrial motions are normal. The defense has to.
Yeah, I think he had a lot of. This guy here was a budding serial killer, in my opinion. He still is. It's not like he's dead. But yeah, I think he's smart in some ways, but just really stupid in other ways. It's why would you carry your cell phone? I mean, these people are so dumb. Yeah, really dumb to carry your cell phone.
Provide some notice of their alibi defense. The judge is going to let it in because it would be so prejudicial not to. This is the defendant's only real defense in the case and what might keep him off death row. And as far as the other pretrial matters that were heard today, the genetic genealogy and the gag order.
I mean, I'm not an expert, but these people here, they're so what I'm looking for, either narcissistic or whatever. They feel like they know everything, and they just don't. They act out of impulse sometimes, and it's just. I think law enforcement says that these guys usually make one or two mistakes.
Order. It's really all sort of par for the course. I know everyone's frustrated. It's taken a long time, but we know that these pretrial motions are to tee up these issues for appeal if and when Koberger is convicted and sentenced to death.
It can.
Ms. Persevere, let me know if you want a wrench, because I'm going to do that before I forget. Interference?
I feel like it's taking a long time. And Kirk, we thought at one point it was going to be the summer of 2025. Now it's going to be spring or earlier, March 3rd, 2025. And you've got students who are going to have to take the stand. Students who are still in school, or if they're not in school, they're still going to have to travel back here to testify in probably the most horrific part of their life, their most horrific memory. Your thoughts on the timing of this trial?
Is the sound bad again? You don't have to help if you don't want. But I just, if you like to, or if you want to post other channels in here, you can. Let me know if the sound is bad.
Death penalty cases take a long time because they're going to be looked at 10 to 15 years down the road. If Mr. Kohlberger is sentenced to death, which I think is likely in this case, I agree with Nima in terms of the likelihood of conviction as well as a sentence of death, that's going to be looked at for 10 to 15 years down the road. And one of the things that they're going to be looking at is the effectiveness of the counsel he had at the trial level. That means the counsel, whether they believe their client, whether they believe Mr. Kohlberger's alibi, that he was stargazing, what have you, because they really have no direct evidence to dispute it. They have to pursue all this cell phone data, all the DNA data with vigor because they have to move forward. They cannot just ignore what Mr. Kohlberger says when it is his life at stake. So all these things have to be pursued, and that's what takes a long time, along with the mitigation case.
Let me know if that worked, Ms. Persevere. I think I just gave you a wrench. Like I said, I think I have 160 followers, subs, and I got 160 moderators. It's so funny.
Right, preparing that alongside of contesting guilt, you have to prepare for that mitigation case, which by its nature takes a long time.
Eklund, this stargazing alibi, do you think the defense went a little bit too far? I know the prosecution had demanded more specifics for their alibi, but they put specific places like that park, which the park on its website says that they close before dark and would not have let anyone in as far as a gate in that area. So if he's saying he was there in the wee hours.
Hello, Miss Bojangles. How are you? Good to see you. I'm glad it worked.
Of the morning would make it pretty difficult. Do you think the defense may have given too much information that can then be debunked as well?
No, I think that they're trying to do the my cousin Vinny type of defense that, it could be another Elantra. The issue is that they're really trying to force the prosecution's hand in proving their burden. And just the fact that he looks scary, and coupled with the fact that he was around that area, coupled with the fact that he just so happens to have a major in criminal defense, although it sounds like a slam dunk isn't enough for the murders. So I think juries now are way more sophisticated. We're going to have to see.
I think the thing about this case here, though, is, hey, Dandy, how are you? Good to see you. What was I just going to say? This guy here, though, I think was, he's at the right, perfect age for starting this stuff. But I think he might have been capable of doing something before this. He probably just struck out or something like that. But in this case, I don't think we're ever going to know the motive. I just don't.
Is there a room in his home that has all four students with little, with little connections to them? Is there like a doll of one of the victims? Do we have a safe?
Hello, get a look. See, how are you? Good to see you. Dandy Linus is in the house. Dandy's awesome too.
Do we have storage that has pictures and love letters? They're really going to have to lock in. So it's not going to be as simple. I don't think that it's going to be that simple. I think that juries now are way more.
I just want to know why he targeted these people. That's all I care about, because I'm pretty sure he's guilty. Like, I'm at 80%, and that's high for me. Like 80% is really. But I would really like to know why he targeted these people, and I'm pretty sure it's that he probably saw them or one of them at one point and said, that's going to be my victim or something like that. But who knows?
More sophisticated, and although this crime is terrible, they're going to have to provide more. Putting the burden on the defense it's not going to work here.
No, I don't think so either. But the DNA is, they got corroborating evidence around the DNA, so I think it's going to be like a half an hour to 45-minute jury thing. All right, so what was I going to do next? Hold on a second while I pull up the next thing here. I want to play this one here because this is just another one of those disturbing freaking cases here. Hold on a second. This happened in Acton, Massachusetts, I think. Hold on a second here. Yeah, stargazing. Let me share this here. So this happened in Acton, Massachusetts, and this is one of those things where I keep telling people all the time that things need to freaking change, because this is just one of those, everybody did everything right except for the outcome. And so this case here was disturbing, to say the least. So let's go here.
Our school community is mourning the loss of one of their students after a murder-suicide. Police say a 16-year-old was kidnapped and shot by her stepfather while she was trying to get home from school. NBC 10's Jericho Tran joining us from Acton with what neighbors had to say. Jericho?
No, JC, neighbors.
Hello, Luis. How are you? Good to see you. Luis Cuevas is in the house. So with this case here, this guy here had a restraining order against him, everything you can imagine. And of course, it didn't stop this from happening. And that's why I think, laws need to freaking change, because this is, it's ridiculous.
Neighbors are understandably pretty upset. They say this is usually a pretty safe neighborhood, while police tell us that 16-year-old victim not only knew the suspect, who was her stepfather, but that she also had an active restraining order against him when he allegedly kidnapped and killed her.
People are locked up for less. Somebody like that shouldn't be on the streets.
Juliano Santana faced 6 charges for aggravated rape of a child after his stepdaughter reported being sexually assaulted by the 49-year-old back in 2021. But the active restraining order and GPS
Yeah, this is a little triggering here.
tracker did not stop him from abducting the 16-year-old on her way home from school on Thursday and shooting her before turning the gun on himself.
She was trying to escape the kidnapper, hiding in the supermarket.
Witnesses say they saw the 16-year-old standing inside the Dolan supermarket Thursday afternoon, less than 2 minutes from this investigation. Hours later, in the parking lot of the Pine Hill condominiums, where police found the bodies of the victim and the suspect inside Santana's car, the spot where this neighbor visits daily.
I usually take a walk at that time, but it was raining.
The Acton-Boxborough School District releasing this statement saying, "We are heartbroken to have learned that one of our high school students died last night. Our thoughts are focused on the student, their family, friends, and our staff."
It's really safe out here. We love it out here. You would never think that would happen.
Malden court documents dating back to September 2021 say the victim told her mother about the sexual assault, saying her stepfather would sneak into her room and sexually assault her while her sisters were in the room.
I think that's crazy that somebody like that was let out. That's insane.
And the trial date for that 2021 case was set for July 29th. So just a matter of weeks. Santana was
This
out
is
on
the problem. Like this is exactly what the problem is. This guy's out on bail, just walking around in the streets, and they throw a piece of paper at him that is basically useless. Restraining orders, it does nothing. In fact, I think it infuriates people. Stuff like this happens.
a $30,000 bail. Right now, the Middlesex District Attorney says this is still an active investigation. In Acton, Jericho Tran, NBC 10 Boston.
I mean, it's just the most brutal, it's the dumbest thing ever. This guy here is just terrible. And play this one here.
And Jessica, that neighbor has a 13-year-old daughter herself, so the story hits very close to home. And that neighbor is disgusted, saying that the victim in this case did everything right, but that the system failed her. Outrage in Acton, one day after police swarmed the Pine Hill condominiums off Route 2A for an apparent murder-suicide involving a 16-year-old girl and her stepfather.
Everyone failed that little girl and that family. Everyone.
Christina Morales is a neighbor here and was distraught to learn that the girl's stepfather, identified as 49-year-old Juliano Santana, was set to go to trial in...
You know, it's one of the things, prosecutors can only do so much because of the laws, but the laws themselves need to be changed because you can't have people like this walking the streets. You just can't. And I keep saying is they need to be changed. It's never going to get any better until you change the law.
July on charges he sexually assaulted.
These are violent freaking people, and they don't need to be walking around. This poor girl had no chance whatsoever.
Assaulted his stepdaughter multiple times back in September 2021. In the arrest report from nearly 3 years ago, the victim told detectives that some of the sexual assaults happened in the victim's bedroom while her sisters slept.
Have a good night, Honeybee. Good to see you. Thank you so much for coming in. For those who don't know who Honeybee is, she's awesome. She's got a great channel. Keep up the good work. Justice for Flora, man, for sure. I'll be getting back into that soon too.
In the top bunk, and that on one occasion, Santana told her not to be scared and not to tell her mom.
Why was he out? Who is going to help? Why did they say speak up? For what? For what? $30,000? Seriously? Seriously?
Morales is speaking to the bail conditions Santana had according to the Middlesex DA's office, including a stay-away order from the victim and GPS monitoring that would ultimately lead police to the bodies of both Santana and his stepdaughter.
I don't know how the system works, but in my book, the system failed.
Find a nice hole to rest in, Honeybee. Friends like this, who needs enemies, right? Just kidding. Have a good weekend, Honeybee.
And the Middlesex DA's office does add that the 16-year-old victim did have an active restraining order against her stepfather. Reporting live in Acton.
What the hell is an active restraining order? It's so dumb. It's the dumbest thing ever. Oh, God, this stuff is just, you can't make this stuff up, man. It's just, it really angers me that these things happen. This poor kid, you know, system failed. Yeah. So you know what's going to happen? Nobody's going to do a freaking thing about it. All right, let's go to Tanya. Yeah, I'm good to fall asleep too. That's for sure. Just kidding. All right, so let's go to Tanya Whip here. I posted this, I think it was this week that they finally considered this a homicide. This is another one of those things where, of course, it's a homicide. I mean, it's the boyfriend's the only suspect. This person went missing, I think it was a few months ago, and I think I don't know if they I want to say if they called it suspicious or not, but it was a year, almost a year. That's right. It's been a year. So they arrested her boyfriend, and he's the only person of interest in this. So this is coming from News Nation here.
Because we believe every missing person matters. Many of the cases we cover come from you. Our featured case this week is one we have been following for the last year, and we have brand new updates in the search.
It's been a whole freaking year. Can you imagine that?
For Tanya Whip, including a search and an arrest in the investigation. First, though, we have a couple other cases to update you on. It's been 13 years since Lauren Spearer vanished after a night out. She was a sophomore studying fashion at Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana.
Dean, you're awesome. See, I work nights, so this is perfect for me, but I understand that it's late for everybody else. So,
Anna. It was June 3rd.
this is another case here that I think Thomas Frost has been following here for Lawrence Spear. I haven't gotten into this one, but I might.
2011. Spear was hanging out, drinking with friends before leaving Kilroy's Sports Bar without her phone or her shoes. In a new book called College Girl Missing, the true story of how a young woman disappeared in plain sight, author and investigative journalist Sean Cohen reveals some bombshells about the last people to see Lauren alive.
I haven't seen one bee this year yet. And that's probably because it's absolutely freaking freezing up here still. And if we don't get a summer this year, I want my money back because it's just cold. It's still cold here. We almost got a frost last night. It was 37 degrees out.
Live and what may have happened that night. Cohen spoke to my colleague Ashley Banfield about the case.
All these years later, take a fresh look at everything that was gathered by the private
Daydreams.
and read it all together and contrast the statements, see how certain persons of interest, their statements
Those are nightmares.
evolved. You see a bigger picture of that night, and it's important to tell that story. And so I revisited key players, and for the first time, they decided to open up and share what actually happened. They were very closed off in the early days, and eventually I worked my way to tell that.
So she aged 24, 11. Wow, that's not very tall at all. 90 pounds. Tiny thing. I know that Thomas Frost has been doing a lot on this one here.
Story, and so I revisited key players, and for the first time, they decided to open up and share what actually happened. They were very closed off in the early days, and eventually I worked my way back to the last people to see her alive, and then confronted them.
And Corey Rossman is one of the people.
I mean, I shouldn't complain it's not snowing out, but, it's freaking June. It should be warmer than this here. So I'm going to start complaining. Ooh.
Cohen has tried to talk to. He was one of the last people with Lauren that night, and at some point, he was on a phone call as Lauren was intoxicated and slumped over nearby. Cohen wants to know who was on the other end of that line, on that call, and can they help put together another piece of this puzzle? Lauren's family has set up a website hoping for answers in her case, and you can learn more and submit information. It's at findlauren.com.
There's a lot of cold cases in Indiana. Like if you want to do a good stream or, investigate a cold case, Indiana's one of those places, man. There's a lot of unsolved shit there.
The biological father of Sebastian Rogers is planning more searches for his son. It's been nearly 100 days since the 15-year-old was reported missing from his family.
This case right here is just so freaking bizarre.
His home in Tennessee. An Amber Alert has been issued and there have been multiple searches. However, there is still no sign of Sebastian. His dad, Seth Rogers, spoke with our News Nation station in Nashville and says his goal today is the same as it was the day Sebastian was reported missing.
When people stop looking, when
you get to be my age, dreams are not like, I can't remember what happened 2 seconds ago, let alone a dream.
when people lose faith, it becomes a cold case. And I'm not going to lose faith.
The Sumner County Sheriff's Office continues.
Somebody in this case is lying, and they need to find out who it is because somebody is lying their ass off.
To investigate Sebastian's disappearance, telling us they are leaving no stone unturned and they are working closely with other agencies, and that includes the FBI. Now for this week's featured case and several new updates in the search for Tanya Whipp. There has been a dramatic turn of events in this investigation since we first started following the case nearly a year ago. Tanya's boyfriend, Russell Carroll, is now behind bars, police naming him as their only suspect in what they are now calling a homicide case. And there was also a new search of her home in Florida. Here's a closer look at her disappearance.
A Memorial Day weekend vigil for Tanya Whip.
I think I've ran out of tears. Sometimes I feel that way. I ran out of tears.
This week marks 1 year since Tanya disappeared from this home on Caroline Avenue, where she lived with her boyfriend, Russell Carroll. According to Auburndale police, Russell told them when he came home from work one day in late May of last year, Tanya was gone. But Tanya's paid-off car, her purse, and her precious dog, Baby, were all left behind. Russell never reported Tanya missing and declined going on the community searches for her.
This is so weird because I think in the beginning they just reported her as a missing person, but and I can't believe that was last year. I'll have to look that up.
Telling Tanya's family at the time that she wanted some space. Tanya's family told News Nation it doesn't add up.
I just don't believe she just walked away. Not from everything. Not her dogs. Not her car.
A pissed off kangaroo. That's too funny. That is classic. Who won?
Not her family. I just don't.
Tanya's relationship with Russell has been complicated. When they met in 2013, he had already spent time behind bars for the stabbing and attempted murder of his 16-year-old ex-girlfriend 10 years earlier.
Unbelievable. This is just so unbelievable. I haven't seen this yet, so triggering. So he was in prison for the attempted unaliving of a 16-year-old girlfriend. So how is there not like a flashing red light on his head, right?
Then in 2015, he went back to prison after being caught with narcotics during a traffic stop. He and Tanya stayed in touch during the years they were apart, and after his release in early 2023, he and Tanya moved in together. Last October, police obtained a search warrant for Russell's home, leaving with his electronic records.
What do you think they'll find on your computer and cell phone?
I mean, text messages between me and her, but it's nothing like, oh, this is like,
Not sure if I want to fight a kangaroo.
maybe you come home from work, what do you want to eat?
But on May 18th, the Auburndale police obtained another search warrant, going back to Russell's home again, with backhoes and equipment for another 4 days of searches. We Are the Essentials investigator Nico Toscani had just turned over evidence that led to
This poor, I mean, this whole thing is just such a nightmare for this family. It's just awful.
Russell's arrest.
One of the things I found was a receipt.
The receipt led investigators to this Advanced Auto Parts. Court documents say Tanya was captured there on surveillance video with Russell on May 26th of last year, the last place.
I'm telling you, man, Heather Brown is a great person. It's always good to have her here in the chat. It's awesome.
She was seen.
It was very emotional. At one point, I was crying. At one point, I was screaming. I was very excited that he was arrested because that's the first step for justice for Tanya.
Russell Carroll.
Police arrested Russell May 14th, charging him with grand theft and unlawful use of personal identification information.
This guy is just a bad person. He's not supposed to be out of prison.
The arrest affidavit cited bank records, surveillance video, and other evidence alleging that Russell withdrew more than $7,500 from Tanya's bank account after she went missing between July 2023 through March of 2024. Throughout the year, hundreds of volunteers in the community have joined.
I mean, you don't want to, it just sucks. It's, yeah, kangaroos beware. I know law enforcement does the best they can. Like, they can't just go and arrest somebody, right? They got to have, evidence. But this guy here is just a bad person. He should not be walking the streets.
Tanya's family searching about a dozen locations near her house and wooded areas nearby. They've gone out on foot and used trucks, ATVs, and drones, all looking for any
Right? It's that's one thing too. It's just you can't trust anybody apparently.
kind of clue as to where she might be.
They found all kinds of articles of clothing and stuff like that. Unfortunately, none of it matched the clothing that we know.
Hello, 50 Shades. How are you? Good to see you. Welcome to the chat. Just going over this Tanya Whip thing. I mean, I knew right from the beginning it was obviously foul play, but I don't think they had any evidence then. They do now.
Tanya was last wearing.
Now investigators are calling this a homicide, but Tanya's body has never been found. Her family says they will not give up trying to find her.
It's really hard to keep hope, to think that, something bad has happened, to say that our family isn't ripped to pieces over this. We are. It's killing us.
She knows how much we love.
I think once they find and arrest and convict somebody of this crime, they should be forced to take truth serum to find out where the body is, especially if they cop a plea, right?
Her and how much this community has come together to help us to find her.
There's a little bit of relief that finally it's out there for the whole public to see that he is the prime suspect in her homicide.
And like I said before, if anybody's got channels or if anybody that they know has good channels, feel free to share them in the chat. I know that there's Frankie, the think tank. She's awesome. Southern Gal's awesome. Honeybee's awesome. So feel free to post the channels in the chat. I don't have any problem with those things. Whoop.
Joining me now, Robin Klotzbier, Tanya's sister, and Nico Toscani. He's the co-founder of We Are the Essentials. To you both, thank you. Robin, I know that this is so difficult for you and your entire family, so thank you for speaking with us again about your sister. This news and receiving word of her.
Okay, I'll if she wants to, if 50 Shades of Faye wants to be a mod, she can, because that way she can post her channel in here, or post the channel in here. Just let me know. I don't like to do it automatically. I like to ask people first, just in case they don't want it.
Her boyfriend's arrest. Just tell me how you're doing and where you're at right now.
I'm at. What do you mean, at home?
No, I mean emotionally. How
This poor woman right here. I mean, it just sucks.
it was to receive that news.
Well, I was happy that he was in jail. I hope he stays there. It's heart-wrenching to know that my sister's out there somewhere. We don't know where she's at.
Okay.
Nico, you were pivotal in this investigation. Are you anticipating homicide charges based on what you now know about this case?
Yes, I think it's only a matter of time before they officially charge the only suspect with homicide.
Tell me more about the evidence that you uncovered and what led you to go down this road, looking and eventually finding this receipt that was so critical.
Right. So once we had spoken to the suspect, he had changed the story a number of times. And
All right, so let me know if that worked, please. And if you're a mod, you don't have to do anything. I mean, it's not like you got to kick people out of here or anything. Just I do that just in case people want to post their channels in here, and the more creators, the better.
with that, we just felt like, you know, something's definitely wrong here. So we did, he still had possession of Tanya's belongings and her vehicle. And we did a search, and inside the vehicle, I found a crushed up receipt on the drive.
I know a lot of content creators kind of discourage that, but you know, hey, the more people that can get the word out in some of these cases, the better. That's how I feel.
Driver's side center console, and when I opened it up, the date was after he said she had disappeared. So we immediately turned that over to the Auburndale police. In addition, we collected some of Tanya's belongings on the same day, and inside her purse, we found,
You know, channels like Southern Gal, True Crime Web, Think Tank, Arctic True Fox, True Crime. I don't know why I keep saying that wrong. Arctic Fox. It's important to get some of these cases that don't get a lot of attention out. Honeybees 1, 2. She does a lot on Flora. She's great on Flora. So the more, you know, the more attention on some of the cases that don't get a lot of attention, the better.
some receipts, money withdrawal receipts from an ATM a month after Tanya had disappeared. So, you know, we got that information and those receipts to the Auburndale police, you know, obviously ASAP.
Are you any closer, Nico, to understanding what happened
Thank you, Heather.
to Tanya that day? Where does this evidence lead you?
You know, this has been a difficult one. You know, in the beginning,
You know what really sucks is there's probably going to be Delphi After Dark, yeah. There's probably going to be a plea deal and nobody's going to know anything. It just sucks. So you can see that. But I don't know why this table's shaking like that. You just hope it doesn't happen. You just hope they find her and they don't have to give him anything.
you want to keep an open mind. You want to hope that people would be telling you the truth. So you got to follow all kinds of leads, figure out where your interviews are going, and start the evidence collection process. For us, it's a little bit more difficult because we are not law enforcement. So
This should be a red flag, right? 2003. What did he get? I mean, how much time? Stabbing and attempted murder, unaliving. That should be a life sentence right there. He should not have been out of jail. It's just why?
you know, that
It's not like he's going to get any better.
makes it a little bit more challenging. The great news is the Auburndale police.
HCC's freaking awesome. I've been following a Hoosier cold case for, I don't know, 5 years at least. Very good guy. Don't always agree. I don't have to agree with other content creators all the time. It doesn't make them bad people. As long as you're not attacking family, I'm good. But Hoosier cold case is great.
And anytime we had a question or wanted to submit something that we thought was,
It's all about the victims. I don't care if people are right. I don't care if people are wrong. As long as people get what they, you know, deserve, I don't care who it is. It's all about the victims.
important to them, they immediately responded, and you know, since that time we've had a great working relationship. They're total professionals. There's no
Yeah, Mom is awesome. Again, a lot of these people are on during the day, so I try to get, you know, as much as I can from their, you know, watching their streams and stuff. But there's some people I just can't. I can't because you know, I sleep during the day. So, but I try to watch replays as much as I can too.
no egos involved.
The good creators need attention because you know, it's all about spreading the word, getting the message out, especially when it comes to missing people. You know, Arctic Fox True Crime does a great job of that. So does the Southern Gal, Frankie, Minor Monsters, all of them.
And I am very hopeful that someday soon this family is going to get the answers they so desperately need.
Robin, right now with the arrest and the search of the property, what is your greatest?
How am I confused about Delphi? Yes, Frankie is great. Kristen behind the crime door is great too. I was one of Kristen's first subs back in the day. Gizzle is good too. Grizzly is awesome. Like I said, I've been saying since day one that I've had my thoughts on Delphi right from the beginning, and I'm not going to change my mind. I've done, I think, probably 6 or 7 videos on Delphi. I'm just not going to get into the bullshit. I'm not going to get into the drama. I'm not going to get into defense, prosecution, law enforcement. Just not. Hopefully, there'll be a trial at some time.
Hope as your nightmare continues.
That we find Tanya and is able to put her to rest. Give her the peace that she deserves.
When you look back at your sister at the time of her death.
Hey, CJK, how are you? Good to see you. CJK's in here. CJK is great too. Did I see who else is in here? Somebody else came in. CJK is awesome.
Disappearance, Robin, what do you recall going on in her life, and were you concerned or was she fearful at all of Russell?
I'm at 80%, Richard Allen. I went up a little bit from the last court thing there. And 80% is high for me. Like the only case recently where I've been higher than 80% is Chad Doorman, the guy who unalived his kids. That's a no-brainer. But 80% is pretty. You know, I never usually go higher than 80%. It's like max.
You know, that's the one thing. We had a great relationship. I was like a mom. Her after our mom passed. So she would come to me.
Oh, this poor freaking woman. It's just so horrible. Oh, you just want to do something.
With advice, you know, asking. And I would give it. Sometimes she took it, sometimes she didn't. But she always listened to what I had to say. She seemed happy that Russell was getting out. I did not know his past, or I would have said to her, this isn't right. You know, don't go move in with him. Maybe she was afraid of what.
She probably wouldn't have listened anyways. I mean, I never blame the victim in these things because, you know, it's not like people are going to walk around with, hey, I almost killed somebody before on their jurors. You know, you're not going to run a background check on anybody you meet. You know? It just sucks.
What I would have thought, but she was an adult and she made this decision.
My opinion on Sebastian Rogers is somebody is lying. I don't know who it is, but somebody is freaking lying, and they're not going to be able to lie forever. That's for sure.
She thought she was in love. She thought he loved her, but evidently he didn't.
So this is the sister of Tanya Whip, and Tanya Whip went missing. I can't believe it was last year, but it was last year, and I think they law enforcement just said it was a missing person, and I think a few weeks ago they arrested her boyfriend, and now it's considered a homicide. So this is the sister talking.
All things become more clear in hindsight, but you did nothing wrong. You were there for your sister. I know how much you loved her. Nico, you take on these cases because you care about these families and you care about resolution and piecing together the puzzle. What does it mean to you to have a relationship with a family like Robin's and help in the process of trying to find some answers?
You know, all of us, we are the essentials, be it the private investigators, the retired military like myself, or retired law enforcement officers that we have on our team. It not only gives us a sense of purpose, but we also have an opportunity to give back to the community. And when you sit down and speak to these families who have never had a situation like this happen to them.
Next week, I may do another thing on the Evansdale unalivings too. I haven't gone over that one in a while, so I may do that one next week. Evansdale is one of those cases that's always bothered me too, so I might try to do that next week.
It's difficult. It's extremely difficult for them, but I can tell you that for us, it gets just as difficult, especially when when there's a level of criminality involved, because of the difficulty of not being law enforcement and having certain things at our disposal. More or less, it's us getting out, talking, having deep conversations with the family, but also getting out in the community. And a lot of these people that go missing are in communities where they're not the best communities. Let's just say that. And so they're scared to speak to us. They are, they're concerned about their safety, their children's safety. So we get that. Now, I will tell you the good news on this case is that after Russell's arrest, some people have come forward with information. So we are praying, every day that this information that's being provided to the Auburndale police detectives will continue to put these pieces of the puzzle together. And, we're also asking Russell if he sees this. Find it in his heart. Look at Robin. Look at Donna. Look at Aunt Lisa. Look at Laura. Look at Jenny. This is a close-knit family. And Tanya didn't deserve this. So find it in your heart, Russell, because we know you're going to be told about this. Find it.
The good news is I think they're close in Evansdale. Like I said, some of these cases, these cold cases and stuff, it all comes down to one tip. And I think they're getting much closer.
Find it in your heart just to give this family some peace. Please.
Robin, tell us about your sister Tanya, what you miss most about her, what you want to share with folks at home who are watching.
Her smile, her laughter, her jokes. She never.
This poor woman, I just feel so bad for her.
As for jewelry, materialistic things like that, she asked for jacks for a car, a skill saw to work out, in the yard, drills. She liked to stay busy. She would help anyone, on the side of the road. She'd help, fix a tire. She didn't know strangers. She wanted to be loved. She loved everyone.
Well, I know
she
you
fought
love.
very hard.
See, that's the problem, right? These people that do stuff like this, that's how they get these people is they get on the vulnerabilities of people, and it just sucks.
I know you love her deeply, Robin. My heart breaks for you and your family that you're going through this. And Nico, thank you for filling a void where law enforcement is often.
You can't be more right, Heather. It's all in the brain, man. These people are sickos, and they have most of them probably have mental problems. So.
Strapped for resources. We will stay in touch, and I hope this does reach Russell and anyone else who has information that can help bring you, Robin, and your family some answers and some closure. I'm so sorry for what you're going through, and thank you once again for being with us.
All right, so that's the end of that sicko. And let's play this other sicko. So this was done at CrimeCon. I think it was last week. And, this poor, person here probably had the worst upbringing, come to find out that her father is probably one of the worst serial killers of all time. Now she gets to, talk about it. But I consider this person to be a hero. But a lot of people might disagree with me. But she talked at CrimeCon about this here, and it just hit me a little hard here with this one here. So let's play this. This is Dennis Rader's daughter, Kerry Rawson.
Is a victim impact statement, and I'm going to be sharing that we found in my dad's journal entries a notation that's marked 1981.
Hey, Dean, have a good night, buddy. Hope you have a good weekend, buddy. You're awesome. Dean is a great guy. Have a good weekend, buddy. Stay safe.
In all caps, Carrie/BND/game. And we know BND is bondage. And so when I went in to see the Osage County Sheriff's Office the first night in June.
After listening to her, and this is one of those cases, and I hate saying this because I'm not a proponent of this, but I don't know how the mother didn't know anything. I just don't.
They let me look at the journal, say it found it, and they wanted me to find it. And we knew right away that it's pretty much symbolizes that my father committed sexual abuse against me when I was like 2.5. And there's another notation in there too, right after that. Now, in June, then I went in to see my dad the next day, but I wasn't able to confront him at that time. I finally did in October.
Have a great night, Dandy. Thank you for coming in. Always good to see you here. Dandy's awesome.
October, I did trauma therapy. I did EMDR. And then I went back in and saw my dad in October, and I confronted him with it. And we showed him the journal entry. And we showed him this photo of him. There's a Polaroid that's not been publicized that he took where he's dressed up like a woman, and he's got like long hair, and he's over a doll that he made that's a child, and strangling the doll. And when I saw the photo this summer, I knew that's what he had done to me. And I've had like that kind of stuck in me, like this image of something happening to me when I was little. And I've always had an issue with my neck. And I had talked to like a detective that helped catch my dad in 2005. I had talked to
This guy here, you just can't get rid of this guy. He's, you keep hearing stories and stories and stories, and I myself personally believe that he's responsible for a lot more than he said. He's freaking crazy. And this poor, kid, growing up in this house, it's gotta suck.
criminologists. I've talked to Dr. Ramsey.
I mean, she's not a kid anymore, but she probably has the worst nightmares that you could ever imagine.
I've talked to therapists, and everybody agrees it's very possible my father did commit sexual abuse against me. And I just didn't have that piece of like evidence until we found that journal.
Didn't he admit it?
So in October, I went in, and when I go in, he has to waive Miranda with law enforcement. So I go in and I say, hey, I'm here with Osage County Sheriff's Office. you know, would you like to waive your Miranda and speak to them? And he was mad and very angry that day and said, I thought the investigation was over. I don't like you coming in here. And he got so angry at me, my PT.
I think what they're doing is they're trying to use her to get him to confess to some other murder. That way they can slap the death penalty on him from another state.
PTSD flared up. And
That's what I think they're trying to do with her. But, you know, he may be dead before that. Anyways.
I actually kind of ran for a while out of that room. And then I went back and I sat down with him. And he goes, what is wrong with you? And I said, I have PTSD. And he goes, what is that? And like within about a 20-minute span, he gaslit me, emotional abuse, mental abuse, and he told me I had brought all of this on myself. And so then he said, what will help you? Because I was upset. So he's like going back and forth between like dad and BTK. And I said, the sheriff will help if you can bring law enforcement in, because, you know, they're like family. So they came in with me and we showed my dad the journal entry and the photo. And he goes, well, it was just a fantasy. So first he completely denied it. And then you present him with the evidence, just like if, say, there were more murders.
Yeah.
And then he comes up with something like to pad around it. And he said it was just a fantasy and that he never touched his family. But we know that he strangled my brother twice as a young adult. I saw that. I witnessed it. So between the trauma I've had,
Yeah, I do too. And that sheriff from Osage County that she's talking about, the guy's incredible. He's a great cop. I think that's what he's trying to do. I think he's trying to get this this other unaliving on his record so that they can proceed with the DP. I think that's what they're trying to do.
thing embedded in me, the disassociation, the night terrors, I'm 100% sure he harmed me when I was little.
Yeah, this was so disturbing, Ashley.
Bless her heart.
This all
She's
is
such a
just now
sweet
coming
girl.
out. And to think that she was going there after years and years and years to the prison to talk to him face to face to try to solve some of these other cases. She sees that journal entry and it all came back to her. She went to therapy, and through the therapy, she was actually able to remember some of this stuff that her own dad.
But the thing that just, I mean, so much of that caught in my throat, but the thing I can't believe is that he said, oh dear, it was just a fantasy.
Well,
as if that is some excuse for binding your toddler and
Guy is such a piece of shit.
sexually molesting her. It was just a fantasy?
Well, and at first he denied it outright, she told me. Then when they showed him the actual entry and said, but what does this mean? Oh, it was just a fantasy. And you know, she had to sit there face to face with him. I mean, she's such a strong woman. It's just unbelievable.
She also gave us I don't know, I always feel like if someone is going to be locked away for life, you want to know it's not.
One of the most disturbing things I've ever seen in true crime since I've been in true crime is listening to this piece of dog shit confess to these things in court. He was actually gloating at one point of how he did things and how sophisticated he was with his it's just, you know, mind of a monster for sure. This guy here, just a sick person, just a sick bastard.
Not fun. You want to know they are suffering, that they're not easily adapting to their surroundings. And she was the one who told us he is literally rotting away. You see the pictures of him. He is atrophying, Gigi. He just looks like a shell of what he once was.
As he should. I mean, that's karma coming around. I mean,
I think they were all afraid of him. I really do. I think they were all afraid of him. Yeah, he almost gloated. I hate to say it, but he kind of reminds me of Brian Kohlberger. He's all in this. Like, it's all about him.
I mean, look what he did to these innocent women.
Yeah.
Over the years.
I don't know if it's Schadenfreude, but it does feel good to see him looking.
Well, in the letter he wrote you about how he's going to retire.
Right.
I mean, it's just sick. This guy, like, he likes the attention.
Yeah.
They all do.
I remember when he got arrested, he was upset because there wasn't more fanfare when he got arrested. I've been following BTK for forever. Him and Israel Keys, they're both horrible human beings. All right, so that's the end of that one. Play one more, then I'll get out of here. You guys have all been great. Thank you, guys. Let's Oops. Hold on a second. Where the hell was I? Oh, I'm going to do this one here. Okay, so okay, so I think this happened a little while ago today, actually, yesterday. This is going to be a little disturbing too, so so here's a parole officer found unalived inside a sex offender home in, I can't lie about the town name here, Chevy Chase. Suspect on the run with agent's badge. So here we go. This was done Maryland, I think, 7 hours ago.
Today are going to be Chief Marcus Jones. That's Marcus, common spelling, Marcus, Jones, common spelling, and Carolyn J. Scruggs. That's Carolyn, Carolyn, J as in John.
I have to write that down because I want to read that book. Thank you, Dandy.
Scruggs, Scruggs, and she's the secretary of the Maryland Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services. First up is Chief Marcus Jones. Thank you.
I'll be getting back into episode 2 of Paige Rankowski too from Michigan. I want to do that again too. I might come back on later and do that.
So good afternoon. Today we will provide an update on the investigation into the death of a Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services agent and the ongoing search for the suspect, Emmanuel Edward Sewell. The victim in this case has been identified as 33-year-old.
Yes, thank you. Get a look, see. Yep. She's in good hands with Steve, Mr. Steve. So hopefully they get some answers for Timothy Dees for sure. I haven't stopped thinking about that case either.
Old Davis Martinez. Again, Davis Martinez, a Department of Public Safety.
Same, Heather Brown. I don't even do crossword puzzles anymore because I can't. Attention span.
And Correctional Services agent. And Agent Martinez has been employed with this department for 6 years. First and foremost, the loss of a law enforcement officer who was performing his duties for the state of Maryland is a tragedy. I want to extend my sympathies on behalf of the county executive, Mark Elridge, the chief administrative officer, Rich Battolino, who is with.
So apparently this parole officer went over to this guy's house and, by all accounts, the suspect unalived the parole officer, and now he's a goner with the agent's badge. So this is the press conference, I think.
Us here today, and all of the citizens of Montgomery County, as well as the men and women of the Montgomery County Department of Police, sharing our condolences with the Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services, Secretary Sewell. It is a very tough situation for all of us, but for them particularly in the loss of their agent, Davis Martinez. And this loss impacts not only his family, who we again send our deepest sympathies to as well, and colleagues, but also the community that he served. Law enforcement officers put their lives on the line every day to ensure the safety of our community. And the death of Agent Martinez is a stark reminder of the dangers we face every day. On yesterday, May 31st at approximately 5:50 p.m., officers from the Montgomery County Police Department 2nd District responded to a welfare check call. The call was for a Maryland parole and probation.
I think that's the problem. Is he knows BTK knows that if he gives up any more victims, then he's probably going to face the death penalty. So he's not going to do that. So that's why I think they're kind of using her, his daughter, to kind of get on his good side. But I don't think he's going to give him up because he knows.
An agent who had not reported back to work after conducting a resident check on Emmanuel Edward Sewell, an individual who was on parole for his offenses. Upon arrival at the 2800 block of Terrace Drive in Chevy Chase, officers
Really hearing sirens, Andy? Yeah, justice for Timmy for sure.
observed the agent's state-issued vehicle parked outside the apartment building. Upon entering the residence, based upon the information that we had, officers discovered an adult male who was pronounced dead at the scene. Emmanuel Edward Sewell was not in the apartment at that time and has not been located since the discovery of the body. The medical examiner has determined the manner of death to be homicide. Our victim has suffered multiple injuries that caused his death. Emmanuel Edward Sewell.
So this guy's on the run. So if you're anywhere in Maryland, be on the lookout and be safe.
54 years of age, is considered a suspect in this case and is currently wanted on the strength of a warrant charging him with second-degree murder in the death of Agent Martinez.
Let's hope this guy resists arrest. Let's just hope. You know, only one can hope.
Sewell is approximately 5'9" tall, and he weighs approximately 250 pounds. We also believe that he is in possession of Agent Martinez, his bag.
Yeah, I think Rex Heuermann. I've said this before. He's probably going to become the most prolific serial killer in New York history. That's just, we're not going to find out for a while because of that stupid law where they have to convict somebody before they can release DNA. It's just dumb.
Badge. Again, I repeat, we believe that Mr. Sewell is in possession of Agent Martinez's badge. We believe that Sewell may be driving a gray 2017 Hyundai Elantra with Maryland handicap tags 93661 H as in Henry, T as in time. Again, we believe he's driving a gray 2017 Hyundai Elantra with.
If I can find this car and if they provide a picture of it, I'll try to put it in my community page here.
Maryland handicap plates 93661 HT. Again,
yeah, Rex Heuermann is a big guy. He's a big man, right? Like, that's terrible.
Warrant has been issued for his arrest, charging him with second-degree murder. The Montgomery County Department of Police Major Crimes Division and our Special Investigations Division is actively searching for Sewell. The Maryland State Police have issued a blue alert to help locate Sewell. Sewell may be armed and he is considered dangerous. We urge the public to we urge the public not to approach him if he is spotted. And again, our thoughts and condolences are with the family and the colleagues of Agent Martinez during this difficult time. We will continue to provide updates.
I'm surprised it's not white, right? There's always a white vehicle involved.
As the investigation continues. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Carolyn J. Scruggs, and I'm the Secretary of the Maryland Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services. That is the parent organization for the.
I always remember the Beltway sniper. Remember him? Them. They were looking for a white van. Had nothing to do with a white van. Witness testimony, man.
Division of Parole and Probation. I'm here today.
They shut down the entire stretch of I-95 for a white van, and turns out it was a sedan. It had nothing to do with a white van.
To express our heartfelt sympathy for the loss of our agent. I want to extend thanks to the Montgomery County Police Department as well as the Maryland State Police for everything that they've done to this point to help us to apprehend this individual that has caused this tragic loss. I would also like to extend my condolences to the family and to our DPSC.
This is just really 2024, right? They can't adjust these microphones down. Like the other guy was what's at least 6 feet. She's probably 4'10", and that's why the sound is gone, because these microphones are way above any type of vocal communication whatsoever.
Yes, family, specifically our agents within the Division of
Trust
Parole
you.
and Probation. We've had many conversations about our agent, and things like professional, diligent, resilience are what we hear about Agent Martinez. Please continue to keep us in your prayers, keep their family in your prayers. These are
The one where they had everybody involved. Yeah, I've been waiting for more news to come out on that, Heather. No, I haven't heard anything more on that. I'll try to get some more information on that, but that's another one. I still think the husband's involved somehow, but they haven't done anything with that. I think that's definitely a drug thing for sure. I think.
Are the unsung heroes that you often do not hear about, but they are part of law enforcement and they do a great job every day. Thank you. So we will open it up for brief questions. If you can just raise your hand, let me know, and we'll have them respond.
I've also been trying to keep up with the Karen Reed thing. That's another one of those cases that just keeps going on and on and on and on and on. There's absolutely no end in sight. So once there's a verdict on that, well, I'll pass that across to people. But that's one of those cases that never ends.
No, he was not shot. We believed he was. At this point, we won't release exactly how but we would tell you his injuries relate to blunt force.
I would probably do a backflip for 67 right now, because it was getting warm here, and all of a sudden it took a nosedive, and it's back to freezing here. It just it's absurd.
Force trauma. Okay. That is correct. That is correct. Yes. And I do want to add that there is a $10,000 reward that's being provided by the U.S. Marshal Service for information leading up to the capture of Mr.
I just hope that this guy doesn't do anything else, right? That's all you can imagine. Like he's a known whatever you want to say he is, and then he's just killed somebody. So hopefully he doesn't do anything else.
Sure. Okay. Well, I believe that Agent Martinez went to the residence earlier in the day. So yes, early on the same day, but earlier in the day. Well, yes, he was. He was supposed to report back to work, and no one had heard from him. So yeah, so at this point, we just believe that he went earlier.
They need to send two people. It's I don't know.
In a day, and then this incident occurred. I will let the secretary answer that question.
Good question. Thank you for that question. Yes, he was alone on the home visit, and it is typical that they go alone on those visits. Typically, they will assess the situation, assess the risk. This individual had not shown to pose a risk prior, so that he was there by himself. Right there.
Secretary, where did Mr. Agent Martinez live? What city? Can you tell us that?
I believe it was Silver Spring. I'll verify that. But yes, Silver Spring.
About that, can you tell us anything about his family? Does he have a wife or kids?
At this time, we've been in contact with one family member, which was his brother. I also know that his mom is still living, but there is no wife or children that we're aware of.
How long did he represent him? How long?
The unfortunate thing is these guys can go in hiding for a long time. So hopefully they get this guy soon.
So let me clarify first that he's not on parole. He's on mandatory release. So the suspect has done 25 out of 29 years, and he had mandatory release, not parole. Difference, okay? And also, he has had at least one prior agent that serviced him. So he's been on mandatory release since March of 2021. He was due to come off in October of 2025. So Mr. Sewell has been with him for quite some time. I can get that exact information, but I don't have it with me. But he's had at least one more. Yes, they did.
And Madam Secretary, just again, you said he was supposed to come off mandatory.
Off of his mandatory release supervision in 2025 of October. Yes. He's been on since March of 21.
You can't help these people. You just can't. They deserve to be in jail forever. And it's not. It's not like they're going to get out and all of a sudden find a new way. It's just not going to happen. So, like I said, hopefully this guy resists arrest. That way, there's no jail time, no trials, no nothing. It's just this guy needs to be off the streets. Period.
I don't want to give you false information, so let me look back into the record, and then we can tell you exactly when that transition occurred, and we can be specific.
And then I know you mentioned he had not shown proposed prior or risk prior. Did you ever hear anything from Agent Martinez about the relationship?
We are doing a complete risk assessment right now to determine whether there were any hiccups, any challenges, any concerns, and then we will be happy to share the full results of that investigation once it's completed. One more question?
So this happened just before 6 is when that welfare check was done, right? For this agent?
Yes. Well, because there was a lot of, again, based upon the investigation, it took us some time.
I mean, I'm not positive, but I think it's like maybe 40 degrees right now here. It's cold.
I'm with the crime scene and understand.
It's so cold here. I haven't seen any mosquitoes, which is a good thing. But at this point, I'd love to see a mosquito. That'd be great.
Understanding exactly what we had. Again, we were in an apartment. And it requires a lot of other legal challenges. So therefore, that's why. And a lot of this information that we needed to gather was really, it took us a while to put that together. Okay. All right. Yes. Okay.
All right. So that's that. If I find any information, they need to have pictures here of this guy. I mean, I'm pretty sure off camera, they probably have pictures of him. And what did they say? 2017 gray Hyundai Elantra? I think they said Elantra. So that's it. That's the car right there. 2017 gray Hyundai Elantra. I think that's the car there. So, and it's a handicap license plate, so that should be easy to identify. Anyways, I'm gonna get the hell out of here. I'm not gonna be happy until it's like 80, 90, 100. I'm a warm weather guy. I'm old, so the hotter the better. With humidity. All right, so I want to thank everybody for coming in. Miranda Lee, thank you so much for coming in. Miranda Lee is awesome. Get a look, see. Thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate it. Heather Brown's awesome. Thank you, Heather. I'll probably see you in one of the other lives. Dandy, you're awesome. Thank you for coming in. Dean, I know Dean Johnson was in here. CJK, you're awesome. Thank you for coming in. Heather Brown, I said that already. Honeybee was in here. Honeybee's great. Check out her channel. She's great. Miss Persevere was in here for sure. All you got to do is stay safe, really. That's what you got to try to do. It's tough these days, or any day. Who else was in here? 50 Shades of Faye was in here. Thank you for coming in. Hope you enjoy your wrench. Miss Bojangles was in here. Thank you for coming in, Miss Bojangles. Arctic Fox True Crime was in here. He's great. He does a lot of great work on the missing for sure. He's I try to repost all the most of them anyways, because it's really the important thing is to get the word out on some of these people that are missing. Melissa was in here. Melissa's great. Hope she's doing well. I hope your dad's doing well, Miranda. Dean Johnson was in here. I know I'm going to forget somebody. I always do. Did I say Miss Persevere yet? Yes. Luis Cuevas was in here. Thank you, Luis, for coming in. And I think that's it. I think I got everybody. Anyways, everybody stay safe. I hope everybody has a great weekend. Stay safe. You guys are all awesome. Thank you for coming into the chat. I know it's late. I know it's not the perfect time for everybody. But I'm going to play my outro. If I missed anybody in the chat, I'm sorry. Thank you for everybody who's watching on the replay. Thank you very much. I always forget to do that. But I'm going to get out of here. Everybody have a good weekend, like I said, and stay safe. Good night.
Thank you.